Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Rackspace Solve London. Here once again is your Master of Ceremonies, John Ingates.
I'll clap for the lunch too. It was good. Thank you all for coming back on time, and I think we're going to get us going really quickly here. I hope you enjoyed that lunch. Right here after lunch, I want to start out talking about digital. Digital is a big area of business for Rackspace, and it's certainly something that's on the minds of many business leaders, how to transform from being a traditional company to somebody that's a digital company, and a company that is helping those companies make that transition is Sapient Nitro. Sapient Nitro is a leading agency, a digital agency, that's helping solve for companies, and they're redefining storytelling with the help of Rackspace Digital. Here with more on Sapient Nitro is Mohammed Wasim.
Hey, John. Thank you, John. Hi, guys. I am Mohammed Wasim, but I go by the name Wasim because Mohammed is like the most popular name in the world, and half the world will turn if you say Mohammed. So, yeah, you can call me Wasim. So I represent Sapient Nitro. Sapient Nitro have one theme is to connect brand with the consumers, and that's what we live for. And our job is to, whatever we take, just make sure the brand connects with the consumer. Now let me talk about myself. I'm an infrastructure guy and have lived my life infrastructure, and for Sapient, I run the specialized delivery group for Sapient in infrastructure. Now, you must wonder that if I'm going to talk about integrated experience architecture, what is the relevance for me to be here? But to the deck, I will try to walk you through how important is the role of infrastructure when it comes to experience. Yeah, and let me talk about Sapient and relationship, because this is a partner section. We have been in association with Rackspace, not as a vendor, not as a partner, but as a great alliances that has been running for 8.5 years. And Rackspace is one of the chapter in overall Sapient Nitro story. So that is the great importance that we have for Rackspace as an alliance member with us. Let's get into our integrated experience architecture. The deck would actually is around 50 slides, so you have to be holding your patience to go with me, especially after your lunch. But we were actually discussing at the backstage whether the session before lunch is better or the after lunch is better. But I believe this one is better because you have lots of energy now. Yep. Let's move on. So we'll give you the in experience architecture, what is the thesis behind it? What is that we actually, the thought process that we bring in? If you really look at it, how the world has formed. The world has formed by two things. One is technology, the other is storytelling, right? Over the generations, we have been telling stories to younger ones, and they take it further, and that's how you build the complete community, culture, geographies, and all, and so on and so forth. Same thing is for business. If you really look at it, in somewhere in 50s, right, how a story used to be told to sell a particular product, right? And as we progress further, we have malls coming in, and in malls, behind the counter, there is somebody out there telling a story of the brand to help you to buy the product. When online came in, right, the story were told through the websites, right? And if we really look at it, how the brand affinity used to be formed by the consumer who would actually look at a print ad and then ponder over it, go to the store, see it, look and feel it, and then the person will buy, and the brand alignment will happen. But when internet came in, right, it gives lots of power to the consumer, and the consumer actually had the right to collect the feedback on the line and not to basically from the print media or which company is telling about, they can actually go out and look at lots of feedback that are given by people who have consumed it. So in that process, if you really look at it, consumer became very strong and powerful. He started driving the brands. And what we believe is that the overall success and the consumer becoming very strong is none in the room who have made this happen. It is technology that has made it happen, right? And technology is fueling a fundamental shift of mass marketing to consumer-centric marketing. And because of that, there is a cultural paradigm shift how everybody consumes today, right? Every consumer consume everything, right? Today we actually consume things more digitally. We are more of a digital humanity than we used to be like 5 or 10 years back. And then what we are saying is that storytelling has to evolve. When I say storytelling has to be evolved, is there is not, we have reached to a point where there is no more one-way communication that needs to happen. A consumer now wishes to be part of the story. That when I say part of the story have to be built around the consumer so that consumer is part of it. So what we do at Sapient, and we call it a methodology called storyscaping. And storyscaping is where you can bring the consumer as a part of the brand, and then that when he becomes a part of the brand, the entire story is being told to bring in more consumer, and that's what we are saying is inclusiveness of consumer. Like one of the examples that we have recently delivered is about Visit Florida. The entire framework was developed by us, but the site that got populated was by the tourists who are actually visiting there. Whatever experience, stories that they were creating within Florida, they were uploading it and making it epic, sorry, an epic holiday for them. And whenever their relatives and friends go to visit Florida again, they add to that story. There are more chapters getting added, and hence the tagline that for Visit Florida that we gave was like epic story. So what we are saying is that it is not about building apps, it is not about building sites, or even it is not about building ads. It is about the building world digitally. So how do we build the world digitally, right? How do we actually make everybody inclusive about it? So what we do is what we call it is IEA, Integrated Experience Architecture. In Integrated Experience Architecture, what we have done is we have picked up the learning from our past. Like if I remember, like I think 8 or 9 years back, I was here in London. I was writing a CMS code for a big organization here, which we wrote it from scratch. And over the course of time, we have learned so much that we are incorporating all the learnings into this architecture and to make it like much more, much more easier accessible and quicker time to market. So what are the goals that we actually have put together for IEA? So the goals that we are looking at is that everything is digital. When I say everything is digital, that doesn't mean that you have to be online, you have to be on mobiles and all those things. What we are saying is that you meet your consumer in the moments of the time. What that means is that you have to actually meet the consumer for your brand when he's in a mode, in a thought process, or in a mindset to listen about your brand and get associated with your brand. So that is what we are actually saying. That is one big thing that we would actually bring the sentiments to meet the consumer in the moments. Leverage a mature CMS system. For us, it is Adobe AEM. We have aligned to that when Rackspace have actually helped us in actually writing frameworks for this of small, medium, large solutions on it. And then better, cheaper, faster, right? Everybody is watching on quick to market. It should be economical, and it should be better than the previous version of it. And it should be also very simple to operate. When I say simple to operate means there should be like low cost to quality. Low cost to quality means that when you are actually propagating something to the production environment, it should not have too much of iteration to solve things. It should be quickly provisioned, and it should be provisioned for the in the first time. Not closed and open. And if you have seen the theme that you have since morning, right, it is all about experience, right? It is all about new technologies coming in, new products, new apps coming in. So if you create a system which is huge and it is all like very rigid, you cannot adopt new thought process, new things coming in. So it should be very open, and open in the sense that once a component of your application comes obsolete or is not loved anymore, you quickly take it out and put a new thing back. And when you are actually interacting with the consumer, your brand should be able to also make money. So in our experience architecture, we have also added component of commerce in it. And for us, commerce is like commerce component or product that we use extensively is Hybris. And even in this, we have like leverage expertise, our expertise in solution architecting it, and Rackspace have been like investing with us in the entire architecture in writing the prototypes of small, medium, large solutions for us. And if you look at a very high level, how does the solution look like? When I say solution look like is that first row that you see is integration with the third parties, and then it's the other section is the delivery channels, like through which the solution would get consumed. And then you have a presentation layer, and below the presentation layers is all integration, and the key comes into the last layer where you actually have various component of legacy system, CMS, commerce, enterprise application, and even social network. So once you have all these things, right, what is the role of IT infrastructure? What is the role of infrastructure capabilities, skill, craft, and what is the role of cloud that comes into it? Let's talk about what is enabling this solution. When I say the solution when gets developed, it is one thing, but if solution doesn't get consumed, or the next leg of that solution is to get consumed in the pure objective of it, the pure business objective of it. So let's talk about the enablers of it. In the present world, the enablers that we see are like two. One is cloud and the DevOps, which is delivery operations. Now, when we actually look at it, we have cloud, which is like new generation infrastructure that we call, because we do not have to interact with any modes of HP, Dells of the world, but it's like going out and finding out right vendor for it, whether it is public, hybrid, or managed hosting. And if you look at DevOps, DevOps is a way to basically go and do complete automation from your development environment all the way to production. Sorry. The key business drivers that we look at here is the time to market. So when we are actually living in an experience economy, time to market is key. Any sentiments that you get noted or you monitor on social network, that has to be immediately incorporated in it. So time to market is there. Cost, you have to make sure that cost efficiencies are high. And as soon as there is a sentiment that is flowing in your application, it should be highly scalable, and it should scale up automatically. And frequent releases. Like gone are the days when you have to plan a release once in 6 months' time, or one in like 2 months' time. You want to do releases as much as possible in a day if you want. So there should be a way to do it. And you should have a production-ready deployment code, because if that is not ready, you cannot do frequent releases. So I would not go much details into like all of them, but the entire DevOps solution that actually starts from the development all the way to production, right? All the components of continuous integration to continuous delivery is there, but the biggest one is the culture and governance. There has to be a big cultural change that you need to adopt in order to make sure that all the activities that you want to do in development operations are accounted for. Your developers have to write the right code, they have to follow the right framework, and they have to check in the one particular methodology so that once it gets picked up from one place and is propagated all the way up, it should not have any human error in it. So there's a big cultural change that have to come in, and there has to be a big governance on it, around it. And this is like a complete development operations that we actually do, from the checkout of the code to all the way to on-demand deployment. Depending on what and when you want to deploy, it should be on demand. Whether you want to deploy it in next 10 minutes or you want to deploy it in next 10 days, it should be on demand. And these are the various tools that exist in the market that is enable you to do that. And then what we'll look at is with your cloud infrastructure coming in and with your development operation getting matured in your organization, you have to seamlessly bind so many technologies together, which is not easy, right, in order to deliver them, because you cannot create an experience without stitching all these technology together to actually make sure that experience reach to its consumer. We've been doing this for quite some time. We have done for many clients. Marks and Spencer is a big thing that we did in UK. But let me talk about an output that we did for Engage Now. Engage Now is our own service product that is primarily used for engaging fans or engaging travelers or customers. This one is primarily for a fan. And if you really notice, this is how the production environment utilization is showing. Now, in this sporting event, it is all driven by fans' sentiments. When there is a fan out there who's looking at a sporting event, and if his favorite sportsman is doing something on the arena, in the arena, those fans will flock around and increase the traffic. And if some incident happens, the entire world will want to know what is going on in the arena, and that's where you see the spike at the right-hand side of the screen. And this is all happening fully automated way using the DevOps methodology and leveraging cloud capabilities. So at the back, it actually reacts to the sentiment of the fans, and sentiments is coming in form of traffic, and the infrastructure is scaling up and scaling down, making sure that the fans are getting responded from the site, and from companies' point of view, you are not actually doing too much of spending too much of infrastructure, buying it up front for that peak load. Another case that I would actually share is this one is not for a very long time or a persistent platform. This was a platform that was created by us only for a few weeks, created and shut it down, created and shut it down. And this is a platform that we did for Harley-Davidson, and Rackspace actually managed the entire background for it. So we got the brief, we implemented in 2 weeks, and third week this one is on. So you can imagine the amount of consistency and partnership that from development, infrastructure team, and Rackspace team have to work together to bring this on, because this was a timely event where all the motorcyclists of the world were invited to come to one place and drive the motorcycle across the city. Okay, and what we are actually looking at is, when I say talking about partners, that make sure that in this collaborative era, when you have to look for a partners who actually gel well with your culture of your organization, gel well with your team, and that team should be able to work in close association with it, so that there is no communication gap. If there is a communication gap, there will be like big errors that would actually come into play. There will be finger pointing, but make sure that importance of finding the right partner is a key for your success as a technologist, as a business owner. And when I started, I said, like, why are infrastructure guys talking about integrated experience architecture? The reason are two. One is that no matter how well you build your application, how great is the experience you have built it in your development environment, you have to just keep one thing in mind, that infrastructure is the last mile before the experience reaches to its customer. So never neglect that. I've heard somebody saying in the morning that you are called when you are actually almost about to go live. That's something that we have to really change, because experience will get delivered only on the last mile, and that has to be like key for any experience architecture to be like successful. And technology operations upkeep the consumer's experience, and we should be fanatical about it, and we must be fanatical about it. That's all I have. Thank you.